What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction. I'm coming at you today with another Comic Writer Pro Secrets. And I want to talk about something that's kind of been on the topics of a lot of people's minds lately of when is it derivative and obnoxiously so? And when is it a twist on something new? This is something that kind of all writers have to go through because almost everything that you come up with is going to remind somebody of something or be close to something or be informed by your experiences just in reading or just what you see around you. So there's no way to come up with something that's completely original and never been done before. Everything's been done before under the sun. And with I think there's about 1 million books coming out a day or something like that. Your book's going to be like something else, even if you don't intend it. But a lot of people take lazy shortcuts also and make characters that are just complete knockoffs of other characters, put them out there, whether it's a comic book, whether it's a book. You see it all the time, and you'll see a book out there like, I'm making it up, I don't know that this is real, Space Wars, an intergalactic rebellion is rebelling against, I don't know, some evil country or something like that, and it's like, oh, that sounds a lot like Star Wars, but things like that exist all the time, and you see it in almost everything that's out there. So as a writer, you really got to take care not to be 100% derivative. You don't want to take a Captain America and just like make a patriotic outfit and then have him go beat up some bad guys of America or whatever. It'll just feel like a false Captain America book, and readers will want to just read Captain America at that point. They won't want to read your book. But what you can do is say, hey, okay, so what are the basics of this character and how can I change this? I've got a character that, he's super strong and he's got this serum or whatever. What if the serum, wears off or something, and so, he has to deal with being in the middle of battles and it just goes away suddenly. And he has to keep taking doses like he's a drug addict or something. You can twist the concept and then have something kind of new to where a character, and I just came up with that off the top of my head. If you want to use that, go for it. But if you can come up with something kind of new and it doesn't feel like the original thing, and so I would avoid branding things at that point. If you had your super soldier who has worn off serums, I'd call it, I'd title the book like, I don't know, like Addicted or something like that. I wouldn't title it, Captain Texas, right, or whatever. So I'd go with that, and I'd try to not have the same patriotic costume at that point. Try to just at least make it a little bit different, so it feels like it's its own thing rather than a cheap knockoff. And that's what you got to do. We see this all the time. But by the same token, people like what's familiar. So if you have some element of familiarity, like a super soldier who has a serum or something like that, it can get people to relate to the work a little bit better. And so when you're creating a commercially viable pulp property or whatever it is, you want to ride the line in between what's going to be the familiar for people to latch on to, the tropes that work, the classic hero adventure story that somebody's going to be connected to, and just not being too much of the same so that people just tune out and go, okay, I've already read this before. Writing that line in between there is how you're going to find your commercial success, where you're going to get the most viability. And I wouldn't worry too much. I wouldn't try to be overly creative and try to mess with story structures and literary devices and things like that to try to prove that you're very different than somebody else. A lot of that stuff's been done before, and especially with a newer writer or whatnot, it will not come across very well. And even with a lot of established writers, sometimes it doesn't come across very well also. So you're gambling on that sort of thing. Now, if you have something in that vein and you're a genius, great. But know that that's going to not work for most people most of the time. So I say stay in the middle there. I think it's perfectly fine to advertise something. I just put out a comic book on my Patreon called The Cosmic Warrior. And of course, I titled it The Cosmic Warrior because he's cosmic and he's a warrior. It's pretty simple. And I'm advertising it as like a Green Lantern meets John Carter sort of thing. So it's got a little bit of those elements in it, but he's his own character and he does his own thing. So people who kind of like that sort of thing will very much enjoy that. and people who, and that's me marketing and signaling to people, this is the type of story, adventure sci-fi story you can expect to find. But I hopefully changed enough and made enough of a alien conflict that's unique and different that this modern day soldier gets thrust into, that it's different from those other books too. So that's my advice. Try to be familiar, but try to make your own thing as much as possible, and then you will be on your way to success. If you like my concept idea and you like my writing advice, do check out my Patreon. It's Patreon/John Delarose, and it is down in the link below. I'm putting out comic books every single month, and I think they're great, and I think you'll enjoy them too, especially if you're liking all my reviews and everything on this channel. It also helps me do content like this because all this takes time and effort, things like that. And if you want to just kick in a little goes a long way, and it helps me produce more comics, helps me produce more content, and keep this train rolling. Like and subscribe. I will see you guys next time on ComicsWriter Pro Secrets.